Little Bear waited politely, but when Patrick didn't speak, he rode over to the seed tray. The brothers had brought it out from behind the crate. They had been careful, but the ramp had got moved. Omri hurried to put it back, and Little Bear rode the horse up it, dismounted, and tied it by its halter to the post he had driven in the compost. Then he went calmly on with his work on the longhouse. Patrick licked his lips, swallowed twice more, croaked out, "He's real. He's a real life Indian. I told you. How did it happen?" "Don't ask me. Something to do with the cupboard, or maybe it's the key. It's very old. We lock plastic people inside, and they come alive." Patrick goggled at him. "You mean it's not only him? You can do it with any toy?" "Only plastic ones." It's an incredulous grin spread over Patrick's face. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's bring loads of things to life. Whole armies." He sprang toward the biscuit tins. Omri grabbed him. "No, wait. It's not so simple." Patrick, his hands already full of soldiers, was making for the cupboard. "Why not?" "Because they'd all, don't you see, they'd be real." "Real? What do you mean?" "Little Bear isn't a toy. He's a real man. He really lived. Maybe he's still, I don't know, he's in the middle of his life somewhere in America, 17 something or other. He's from the past." Omri struggled to explain to Patrick with blank. "I don't get it." "Listen, Little Bear has told me about his life. He fought in war, scalped people, and has grown stuff to eat like marrow and stuff. And he had a wife, and she died. He doesn't know how they got here, but he thinks it's magic and accepts magic. He believes in it. He thinks I'm some kind of spirit or something." "What I mean," Omri persisted as Patrick's eyes strayed longingly to the cupboard, "that if you put all those men in there, when they all come to life, they'd be real men with real lives of their own, from their own times and countries, talking their own languages. You couldn't just set them up and make them do what you wanted them to do. They do what they wanted to do. Or they might get terrified and run away. Or one I tried with, the old Indian, actually died of a fright when he saw me. Look, you don't believe me." And Omri opened the cupboard. There lay the body of the old chief, now made of plastic, but still unmistakably dead. Not dead the way some plastic soldiers are made to look dead, but the way real people look, crumpled up, empty. Patrick picked him up, turned in his hand, and he put the soldier down by now. "This is the one you bought at lunchtime?" "Yes." "Crumbs. You see? Where's his headdress?" "Little Bear took it. He said he's the chief now. It's made him even more bossy and difficult than before," he said Omri, using the word his mother often used when mother was insisting on having her own way. Patrick put the dead Indian down hurriedly and wiped his hands on the seat of his jeans. "Maybe this isn't such fun as I thought." Omri considered for a moment. "No," he agreed soberly. "It's not fun." They stared at Little Bear. He had finished the shell of the longhouse now. Taking off his headdress, he tucked under his arm, stooped, and entered through the low doorway in one end. After a moment, he came out and looked at Omri. "Little Bear hungry," he said. "You get deer? Bear? Moose?" "No," he scowled. "I say get. Why you not get?" "The shops are shut. Besides," added Omri, thinking he sounded rather feebly, especially in front of Patrick, "not sure I like the idea of having bears shambling about my room, or of having them killed. I'll give you meat and fire, and you can cook it, and that'll have to do." Little Bear looked baffled for a moment. Then he swiftly put on his headdress and drew himself to his full height of almost 3 inches, 3 1/4 with the feathers. He folded his arms and glared at Omri. "Little Bear chief now. Chief hunts, kill on meat, not take meat for others' kill. Not hunt, lose skill with bow. For today you get meat. Tomorrow, go shop, get bear, get plastic, make real. I hunt. Not here," he added, looking up scornfully at the distant ceiling. "Out, under sky. Now fire." Patrick, who had been crouching, stood up. He too seemed to be under Little Bear's spell. "I'll run and get the tar," he said. "No, wait a minute," said Omri. "I've got another idea." He ran downstairs. Fortunately, the living room was empty. In the coal shutter beside the open fireplace was a packet of firelighters. He broke off fairly large bits of one and wrapped it in a scrap of newspaper. Then he went to the kitchen. His mother was standing at the sink peeling apples. Omri hesitated, then went to the refrigerator. "Don't eat now. It's nearly supper time." "Just a tiny bit," he said. There was a lovely chunk of raw meat on a plate. Omri snipped his fingers, wiped them hard on his sweater to get the stink of the firelight off them, then took a big carving knife from the drawer and, with anxious glance at his mother's back, began sawing a corner of the meat. Luckily, the steak cut easily. Even so, he nearly had the whole plate off the shelf and onto the floor before he got his corner up. His mother swung around just as he closed the refrigerator door. "A tiny bit of what?" she asked. She often reacted late to things he said. Nothing, he said, hiding the raw bit of meat in his hand. Mom, can I borrow a tin plate? I haven't got such a thing. Yes, you have. The one you bought Adio to go camping. Well, that's in Adio's room somewhere. I haven't got it. A tiny bit of what? But Omri was already on his way upstairs. Adio was in his room. He would be, doing his homework. What do you want? He asked. The second Omri crept in. The plate, your camping one. Oh, that, said Adio, going back to his French. Well, can I have it? Yeah, I suppose so. It's over there somewhere. Omri found it eventually in an old knapsack covered with disgusting bits of baked bean, dry and hard as cement, hurried across his own room. Where he said he'd been away from it for even a few minutes, he felt his heart beating in panic as he opened the door for fear of what he might find or not find. And the burden of constant worry was beginning to wear him out. But all was as he left it this time. Patrick was crouching near the seed tray. Little Bear was directing him to take the tops off several of the jars, posed their panes, while he himself fashioned something almost too small to see. It's a paintbrush, whispered Patrick. He cut a bit off his own hair, and he's trying to find a scrap of wood around, and he found about the size of a big splinter. Pour a bit of paint into the lid so he can reach to dip, said Omri. Meanwhile, he was scraping the dry beans off the plate with his nail. He took the fragment of the firelighter and the twigs out of his pocket and arranged them in the center of the plate. He washed a bit of meat beside the water glass, and a wonderful idea for a spit to cook it on. From a flat box in which the first director set had once been neatly laid out, which was now in chaos, he took a rod, ready bent to handle shape, pushed through the meat, then from the small bits of the set quickly made a sort of stand for it to rest on, legs each side of the fire so the meat hung over the middle of it. Let's light it now, said Patrick, who was getting very excited again. Little Bear, come and see your fire, said Omri. Little Bear looked up from his paints and then ran down the ramp, across the carpet, and vaulted into the edge of the plate. Omri struck a match and lit the fire, which flared up at once with a bluish flame, engulfing the twigs and the meat at once. The twigs gave off a gratifying crackle while they lasted. The firelighter gave off a very ungratifying stench, which made Little Bear wrinkle up his nose. Stink, he cried. Spoil meat. No, it won't, said Omri. Turn the handle of the spit, Little Bear. Evidently, he wasn't much used to spits, but soon he got the hang of it. A chunk of steak cooked and turned in the flame, soon lost its raw red look and began to go gray and then brown. Juicy smell of the roast began to compete with the spirituous reek of the firelighter. Said Little Bear appreciatively, turning until the sweat ran off his face. Meat. He'd thrown off his chief's cloak and his chest shone red. Patrick couldn't take his eyes off him. Please, Omri, he whispered. Couldn't I have one? Could I choose just one, a soldier or anything I liked? Make him come to life in your cupboard?